Hello there, and thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel. My YieldMax dividends have already been paid. I had 3 positions. Small position in MSTY, 7 shares, paid about $13. AMZY, 23 shares, paid about $31. And then my biggest position of AMZY was 700 shares, paid me almost $460. And if you add up all these 3 positions, it comes to about $504 total. And I also have 2 positions in Roundhill. The QDTE, I have about 130 shares, which paid about $43 for the 1 week. And the XDTE, I have about 35 shares that paid $11. And if you add these 2 up, it's about $54. And if we look at my progress, I'm able to fill in September. Those YieldMax funds are the only ones I have, and they've already paid. And if I'm just using the first week's average of QDT and the XDTE, and of course, if it stays the same, I'll be making about $718. I'm either going to make a little bit more or a little bit less than $718, which is an improvement from August of about $100 if I just let things go as is. And with that, a 2024 total of $2,065 in dividends. And to generate that $718, I have about $15,500 of my own cash, and I'm using about $5,000 in margin, which means the total value of my brokerage account is right here, the $20,555. So the $20,555 that has generated this $718, give or take 10 bucks. And before the review of my portfolio, what about a hypothetical? You know, so far I've contributed, $16,500, $17,000 cash, $6,500 of that being a personal loan. So around $9,000 to $10,000 of my own cash into this adventure here, or whatever you want to call it, this investing program. But let's say I just stopped, and then I'm just going to use whatever monthly income there is from those funds. Again, just hypothetical, but let's say this $1,718. How would I go about it? Let's just say I'm totally done. I'm not putting any more money in. Well, that $718 that was received for the entire month of September, for example, I would tax it 30%. That's $215. So you subtract $215 from the $718, about $500 or $503. I'm using a little bit of margin, and at my current rate, it'd be about $60 a month. So 503 minus 60, it leaves $443. And just to keep it growing a little bit, I'd reinvest those $243, and I would keep $200 a month for income. Now, if I just kept doing this month after month, after about a year, the $243 adds up to about $3,000 of reinvesting, which would buy a few more shares, not incredibly enough. But this monthly income, in theory, should go up a little bit. In the beginning, it might go down some depending on the market, but over time, it would go up if I did absolutely no more contributing and just reinvested about $200 to $250 in dividends. So, and then the $60 for margin maintenance. 1 month I can not do anything and pay down the margin. You can do whatever you want as long as I take out the 30% in taxes. And that's probably a little bit of overkill for this amount, but that just means I'll get a tax refund. So just kind of like a hypothetical of you're a small-time investor, a new investor, and maybe you're done investing and that's enough money. Potentially, I can have a minimum of at least $200 monthly income for life and grow it gradually over time. But anyway, just a thought, just how I'd look at it, how I'd attack this if I really needed any money from these dividends so far. And at least for the YieldMax funds, probably somewhere in that 3 to 5 year range, you would get your original return on investment through those dividends in that time frame. And if you just kept on extending, 7, 8 years, you'd get your original return from Roundhill. And then it's just, free money from then on out. So that's just a hypothetical. But of course, we're here to keep growing this exponentially as quickly as we can to make huge passive income. So let's go ahead and go over my portfolio where it stands right now. Okay, so this is a screenshot of the 4 positions I now own. My AMZY position is gone, so that was about 23 shares that I just sold out, and I put it into MSTY. And if you see here now, my AMZY position has shrunk by 50 shares. I reallocated some funds, and I put that also into MSTY, and I also used $500 to put into MSTY. And as you know, with a really down market day on Friday, plus it being ex-dividend with those YieldMax funds, it was definitely a good day to buy, even though the portfolio value went down quite a bit. So ex-dividend, my portfolio went down to that $504. Plus, we had just a bloody day, which meant that I got a lot of MSTY on discount. Who knows how much farther we're to keep falling, but I just couldn't resist, so I went ahead and bought into MSTY. I now own 82 shares. And with this screenshot, you can see the current value of each of my positions. AMZY still with 650 shares, almost at $12,000 in value. You can now see my MSTY value. I had about $140. Now it's at almost $1,600. And then the two round tail funds, the Q and the X, the 5,200 and 1,800 respectively, or 131 and 36 shares respectively. And this is the total gain or loss of each position since I've owned them. AMZY with ex-dividend and that bloody Friday is now down $2,300. The MSTY or MSTY is down $60. QDT, I think it was down almost $1 or 99 cents. And now with that bloody Friday, it's down 271 total dollars. The XDTE is down 20 bucks. And just a closer look at those four positions. Here's my AMZY position. You can see AMZY is now at 1831. Again, down 52 cents this past Friday, along with ex-dividend, down a lot. If you're just getting into AMZY, this would have been a great time to buy into AMZY at this $18.30 mark. My average cost is now $21.92 with the 650 shares. Here's my MSTY position, better known as MSTY. You can see the current price is at $19.07. Not only was it ex-dividend of $1.85, but it also went down 73 cents. So this is where I'm trying to seize the opportunity, and I purchased approximately 75 shares on Friday. And if you look down here, I got 49 shares of that at about $19.09. So, you know, who's to say at Monday it's not going to go down another $1 and the next day another $1. I just don't know if I'll chase down the average cost, but I'm kind of chasing the high yield. That's why I sold 50 shares of my AMZY and put it into MSTY. I'm trying to generate more monthly income. So 82 shares at $19.80 average cost, below 20. I like that. As you know, in the past, MSTY's been way up there. Total gain or loss, $60, and you can see on Friday with ex-dividend and then going down 73 cents, my position was down basically the $60. Moving on to the round tail funds, here's the QDTE. It's now below $40 at the $39.9, 131 shares, my average cost at $41.97. And then my XDTE position, I have the 36 shares, an average cost of $50.66 with a total loss of 20 bucks. Now my game plan before ex-dividend of the YieldMax funds and then these totally red days that we just been having the past week or so, especially on Friday, was just a dollar cost average my YieldMax funds, so this 500 bucks or so, back into the round tail funds, the QDTE and the XDTE, and I was going to DCA that over the 20 market days until October next ex-dividend for the YieldMax funds. But right now, so again, let me back up. That would have been the 500 bucks that I received from YieldMax. I'd put basically 250 into the Q and 250 into the X over the course of 20 market days. But since each position is down under my average cost, I might just lump sum the 250 into the Q and the 250 into the X because right now they're sitting below my average cost. So that's something I'll think of doing on Monday. Again, that's always a game time decision for me to either lump sum or to continue to do the DCA through the whole month of September till next month. So whether I DCA those funds from YieldMax into the round tail funds or lump sum them, I'm going to have more shares of the Q and more shares of the X. That's what I have going for me for the rest of the month. I'm hoping this will get closer to maybe even $730 to $740 for the month of September. It just depends. I might even liquidate, or maybe not liquidate, but rebalance some of my AMZY, maybe drop that down to 600 shares and put it into MSTY, depending on what MSTY is doing next week, or any of the Qs. So everything's up in the air. I'm massaging this small portfolio. I'm dabbling with this small portfolio with $15,500 to $16,500 of my own cash to see how I can raise it up without really putting any more money into it. And what I mean by any more money, like $2,000 or $3,000, I'll always be feeding it, I don't know, $50 a week or so. And plus I have that Fidelity credit card, which is going to be putting in $80 or $100 a month. So I have my chunk and change in here. I want to see how I can play with this over the next couple months, massage it, see if I can zone in on how to handle the NAV of at least the MSTY and the 2 round tail positions. The AMZY one was the first one as a new investor I got started with. That's just going to have to pay back itself, or again, I'll do a little bit of rebalancing. So this is what I got, on target, $718, $720 total for the month of September. If it stays choppy, maybe I can make $730, $740. If we keep going down, it may be closer to $700. So the total value of all my positions, you can see right here, if you add those up, it comes to $20,555. This net debit right here, that's how much margin I'm using from Fidelity. So if I were to liquidate those 4 positions and get out of the game, Fidelity would get their $5,020 back, and I would be left with $15,535. Thanks for watching, folks. As always, I'll see you in the next video.